Justice is an ideal towards which we continue to strive, and the rule of law, when applied correctly, can help us achieve it. But what do we do when the rule of law is failing and social injustice prevails? Chatting to me is Professor Michael Karlberg of Western Washington University. Michael, historically, what are the broad ways that societies have dealt with injustice and brought about social change?
Well, of course, within some systems, it's possible to work for justice within, conventional political processes, but there are sometimes limits to what those processes can achieve. So obviously, many, efforts have made outside those systems. Violent revolution is one of those we're familiar with, but nonviolent approaches to social change have really emerged over the last 200 years as a viable alternative. And of course, there are many different forms and methods of nonviolence, but it's increasingly demonstrating its effectiveness. There have actually been empirical studies done, found that the nonviolent campaigns are twice as likely to achieve their goals and less likely to relapse into violence afterwards. So there's a lot to commend nonviolent approaches to, in the pursuit of justice.
Many of the 20th century's greatest leaders advanced social justice through nonviolent means. Within the range of nonviolent approaches, we have things like civil disobedience, but what other approaches are there?
So I like to sort of draw two very broad distinctions between kinds of nonviolence that are referred to as constructive nonviolence and contentious nonviolence. Contentious nonviolence is what most people think of when they think of nonviolence, right? It's the protests, non-cooperation with unjust laws or authorities, civil disobedience, general strikes, boycotts, that kind of thing. And the aim of those tactics is to raise awareness within a society of injustices that affect segments of the society, to foster moral sympathy and support of bystanders or third parties, to disrupt or dismantle those systems of oppression. Constructive nonviolence is something a little bit different. It involves actively creating new social systems, new processes, new social norms that embody the principle of justice. So constructive nonviolence is about building elements of a new social order that can supplant the oppressive order. And it advances in different ways. It advances through the powers of attraction, ultimately, attracting people to participate in new institutional forms and new patterns of community life.
What are the trade-offs of having both or doing one or the other?
I see contentious nonviolence as, in many ways, addressing the sort of acute symptoms of injustice, the life-threatening harms, in the here and now that need to be addressed. And I see constructive nonviolence as really trying to address the sort of deeper underlying causes of injustices, the sort of deeper diseases in the social body, so to speak, that manifest themselves in all sorts of injustices over time. But that takes a longer term sort of time horizon. One of the underlying causes of oppression in the world today it's what I refer to as a sort of culture of contest, the sort of social Darwinism, everyone competing to advance their own interests against the interests of others. And one of the challenges with contentious nonviolence is it can reinforce actually that sort of culture of contest, which is arguably part of the underlying cause of injustice.
Constructive approaches work together with individuals, communities, and institutions in order to transcend oppressive realities.
The means we pursue change with end up actually shaping or prefiguring the ends we get. So if we adopt violent means, we're likely to end up with the violent ends, with just recreating new patterns of violence in society. So if we're struggling for justice, if we're working for justice, we arguably need to adopt means that embody not only the principle of justice, but also the principles of peace and nonviolence, if that's the world we want to create.
While achieving justice is paramount, the way in which we achieve it is as important. Engaging in constructive social change is both sustainable and effective. Thank you for watching.